Hello. Kerrie,
Hola.
Kerrie Robinson
What's
has joined the chat. So we go back a while, don't we? From the early days
happening?
of the Bournemouth scene.
Yeah.
If there was one, if there is one. But don't want to go too much into that because there's not that much to say about it. Well, I don't know. I think when we were sort of in our 20s, in the
Yeah.
late 90s, 2000s, there was a kind of a little thing going on. And the band that I remember, the
Yeah.
Betika.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I was reminded because I had a look at the recent project. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the pronunciation right. Thalassing that you
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's actually quite old.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. That was actually recorded in 2000. Oh, hang on, something's trying to up. Yeah, no, the last thing was actually recorded in 2010.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it came out just on CD. It was one of the first releases on the Clay Pipe
Right.
label.
Yeah.
Frances Castle, who's an illustrator and she makes music as well. So
Yeah.
she just set up the label, and it was the second release on the label, but it only came out as 100, really limited, obviously 100 copies of a handmade kind of CD.
Yeah.
And then this year it's 10 years, obviously, since the anniversary of the label, and so massively revisited it, and then yeah, it was really nice to hear that it was coming out just before Christmas. I heard that it was going to be coming out, and then yeah, so super cool.
Nice. It looks really, really, really lush. For us independent musicians to put something out on vinyl is kind of like yes,
Yeah, yeah,
pinnacle.
totally.
I have an
Yeah,
object.
definitely. It's the
Yeah.
first thing. It's the first thing I've ever had come out on vinyl, and
Yeah.
when you're a real music nerd and
Yeah.
a bit of a vinyl head yourself,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, ooh,
It's like
the
it is an orb, isn't it? And also you can give it to the folks or your relatives and go, there you go. Yeah, made this the other day. And they're like, oh, and yeah, I've only made tapes.
Yeah, I spoke to my dad. I was telling my dad, I was like, "Oh, look, I've got something to show you," because I got a few advanced copies through. And he was like, "Oh, is that a record?" And then he's like, "Can I have one?" And I was like, "No, you can't."
No, you got paper.
Well, no, I was like, "Yeah, because you won't play it. You haven't got a record player, so I'm not wasting a copy on it."
But you never know. You might go out and buy one. You might get a little. Have you seen those little crappy ones that they have, the plasticky ones in Scotland now?
I was trying to work this out. I think it's coming up. I think this year it'll be 9 years.
Yeah.
I moved up here.
Yeah, and are you near I can't remember which lock. You're near a lock, can't you?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of them in Scotland.
A lot of locks.
A lot of locks.
Yeah.
There's something like ridiculous, like 100,000 locks in Scotland.
No way.
Yeah, lock soon up. So if you kind of imagine them.
Oh my God, James Yorkston, Pictish Trail.
Yeah.
Loads, tons and tons of like interesting.
Yeah, Pictish Trail. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And then like so Johnny Pictish Trail is up on the Isle of Eigg, which isn't actually that far as the crow flies from here.
Yeah.
It's not actually that easy to get to, but he's got so many great artists on his roster. And actually he's got Ed Dowie, who's from Wimborne. So
oh yeah.
Dorset.
Cool. I'm gonna have to. Let me at the end I'm gonna put, like, when we've done this video, I'm gonna put in some links to some of the songs we mentioned and some of the labels.
Ed's got a new album coming out. Actually, it's great. He's great musician, sort of real kind of like.
Oh, is it called?
Yeah.
Is it called the Uncle Sold?
Yeah, that was the album that came out on Lost Map, and that's a great album. Yeah, totally check that out.
Yeah.
Anyone that's not heard that, check it out. It's great.
Ah, nice. Cool. Loads to learn about here. So recently you've been kind of making field recordings and ambient music. And I really like the last thing that you sent me, like we were saying, it was a little bit, it reminded me immediately of Pyramid Song, and that also sent me back to a time of do you remember Romin Bromide?
Yeah, for sure, of course.
Yeah, so like I think there was a period when he was working at Mr. Kip's, that amazing little venue in Poole.
Yeah.
And he was constantly, like every day, playing Radiohead and that album, going, dude, this is the pinnacle of music. Just being a complete super fan and fighting, arguing. I remember saying to him, yeah, it's good and that, and like, but you know, Tom York, like his voice can get a bit annoying. Like, what? How can you say that? I'll fight you for this.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking actually, it's like you get those kind of weird Proustian memories. And when I was thinking about you saying about Pyramid Song, I had this memory of when OK Computer came out, and I was in sixth form, and when oh geez, I'm having a moment here. Paranoid Android came out, and I was just like, what is this? This is mad. It's like almost in a way, it's kind of like the Bohemian Rhapsody of our time, because it's quite like proggy, epic. And I was like, oh, it's like, and this is crazy. I can remember being in sixth form in my tutor group, and I had somewhere I'd got like the guitar like tab for OK Computer, and I was just sat being really pretentious, like reading the tab in like tutor group first thing in the morning. And then I'd obviously probably been waiting for somebody to ask me what I was looking at. I was like, I'm looking at the tab for the like most important and best song that's ever been written in the history of our time.
You're just like, oh, this? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if you know it.
Yeah. You think, wow, okay. I mean, it's a great tune, but I mean, I guess, for me, it was like probably, I'd not really heard anything like that before.
No, it was a massive album, like, and it came sort of at a good time as well to counteract all the laddishness that had been going on for a long time. And I was watching, talking of laddish bands, I was watching this documentary about Killing Joke, who I never knew much about, and just watched this film called what's it bloody called? I'll have to put it in later. But my memory's so shot to bits. The Death and Resurrection show, and it's about Jazz Coleman and all his obsessions. And in it, because Youth super producer was obviously in the band, and they talk a little bit about Youth going off to become like a mega producer and then producing the Verve. And I was just thinking, you had in that short period, you had the Verve Urban Hymns, and then OK Computer, and just like it seemed like in the late 90s there was this like massive barrage of really important records, and like Uncle, and really interesting times where you had lots of artists working together, and then Heavenly Records, Chemical Brothers, Underworld, just lots of cross-pollination as well, lots of people working with each other, even like someone, you know, now who's a bit, well, not a dick, but I guess can be a dick, like Liam Gallagher guesting on Death in Vegas and things like that. It's a really fertile time, but I'm not stuck in the 90s. Well, I am a bit, most people, but yeah, I just look back on that era as like as being like, oh, you know, like, and in this period now, we're all kind of like, I guess one way to sort of get through it is to think of the good times, think of the gigs or the festivals or whatever you went to. And I was going to ask, actually, did you, because I remember Chris Mears going on about, Chris Mears and Larmer going on about the End of the Road Festival and how amazing that was. Did you ever get to go there?
Joe, I went to the very first one, and I think I like won tickets to go or something, and it was really, it was really cool. I'm trying to think who I saw. It was really nice because I'd kind of been to the Larmer Festival a couple of times.
Yeah.
Played with, I used to play in Blueprint. Do you remember?
Blueprint, yeah, of course, yeah.
That was with Chris Mears and Chris Pedley, those guys. So I played with them way back, and we played at the Larmer Festival maybe once or twice, I can't remember. So it was nice, like, to go to a totally different kind of fresh festival there. But I've not been back, and every year I see the lineup and I think, wow, that looks, I mean, you just get such a good lineup.
I know, and it's like, I feel really,
I went to Camp
Festival, not Big Chill, it all kind of blends into one.
I saw, it was great, I saw PJ Harvey at Camp Festival.
Oh, amazing. So that's like a hometown gig, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really cool, and it was just in this tiny kind of like big top tent. That's a good
tiny big top.
Tiny big top. It's like an oxymoron, isn't it? It's just tiny crowd and being really close to the stage, and it was just her and I'd seen her in a couple of big venues before. I'd seen her play with John Parrish, and and that was just mad. That was such a lovely thing, and totally cool to see her on like home turf as well. Really
I remember one of a few times going to Reading and being with Bromide and like doing this. We did this move. We learned this move that you could move through the crowd and it's a bit aggressive, but like booker. You say it behind people, and then you sort of get. Well, we only managed to get to about, I don't know, it's still at least 20 rows of people in front of us. And I really miss Bromide, because going to gigs with him is like, because he's such a super nerd, he's so enthusiastic. It's kind of like, you just talk about it for ages and ages, and just he's such a energetic little Duracell bunny.
He put on some great gigs at Kips, though.
Yeah, he really.
And you used to DJ quite a lot.
Yeah.
At nights, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a couple. When I could come over, he was really nice, because he would say like, you can just play whatever you want, give you some bit of moolah, give you some drink tickets, and that was amazing. You know, to see some great bands and to get a bit of slish slash. And there was some really weird things happened, like Finley Quay turned up one night.
I was playing the gig that night. And I had a really awkward thing because I think
what band were you playing
with my band Red Peel. And that was kind of a band that was like a trio. It was me, Brad Hempsel on bass. He's got a really cool, like, electric upright bass that's really like architectural, really sculptural bass. And then a guy called Luke Price on drums. And we played as a 3-piece for a really long time. And when I wrote songs for that, and I think we supported like I want to say like Acoustic Ladyland or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
That is
now
my
it comes
favourite.
back to me. That was mental. That band, they were fucking outstanding.
Cool, really cool. And then I just remember like coming off like having played, and like a guy who I vaguely know from just being around in Bournemouth or whatever said, "Oh, I want to introduce you to someone."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right." And he was like, "Oh, this is Finley Quay." I was like, "All right. Oh yeah, so it is." And then just and I was like, I don't really know what to say. Like, and he
like
kind of stood and looked at me, and I was like, all right.
yeah.
It's like, nice to meet you. Then I'm gonna go and get a drink.
Yeah. Shit. Because I remember
Someone had
reading.
met him on it. It was a mad thing that someone had just like met him on the train or something and brought him along to the gig.
But I read somewhere. So he was another guy from Bournemouth school, and he's been making music as Sumatran Black and that
Okay.
sort of dark ambient stuff. And then we started to make this project in early 2018 of Haram tapes, because we'd been sending things back and forth. Bizarrely, he turned up in my suggested listening in SoundCloud, and it said Sumatran Black, Istanbul, Turkey, and I was like, oh, really interesting. And this guy kept commenting on my tracks, and I was like, this guy knows really good. So what's your, are you Turkish? And he's got, no, my name's Peter Reeves. I'm from Bournemouth. And I was like, what? Well, that's really weird. And he was like, yeah, I don't know how SoundCloud, the algorithm has matched the fact that we're from Bournemouth.
That's mad.
And then we just started swapping parts back and forth, and then eventually, he made field recordings of Istanbul, and I had a guy called Mohammed Shorki, who's a lawyer from Alexandria, and he was studying in Vienna, and I was tutoring him about what's considered haram in Islam, and what is so the sort of the idea of the forbidden, and I asked him if he could do, because he had really like a really nice rich baritone voice as well, so I asked him if he could read what is haram, and that was included on the first album. And then I had a friend called Bada, who just speaking to recently. He managed to get, but thinking about your own music, and something that struck me was that I just thought of the talk the Mark Hollis quote of like, I'm going to paraphrase it, but before you start music, you should just sort of start with a couple of notes and let them sort of breathe, and that's what struck me about the music, was I could kind of envision like being near a lock and just it's just amazing music. You can see yourself in the place where you're living, and it's a headphone world. You just have to sort of meditate on those notes. It sounds really hippy dippy, but yeah, it's really powerful music.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I did. I've always kind of like recorded. I've always made like field recordings. Even back in Bournemouth, used to go out with my mini disc recorder.
Yeah.
Like,
have you still got one?
I've got one in the cupboard, but I haven't cracked it out for ages.
My brother's got. So working with Pete, he makes really
instruments. I need to have a look, but I used to go around and just sit in cafes and bars or go down to the seafront and just be like recording people's funny like conversations and stuff, and then come in like cut up little samples and stuff. And
have you ever heard of Robin Ram? I only just learned how to pronounce his name. Robin Rambo, a guy called Scanner. Scanner, like he's been working with a guy that I knew or know, Seb Patania,
who I met in Italy. Sorry, in Vienna. He's originally from Italy, but they did some music together. But I remember listening to John Peel, and there was a scanner session, and it was all stuff that he'd taken from using a radio scanner, and like really, really dark stuff as well, like people's arguments and so what if you got some files? You should definitely do some stuff with that.
I do like that, although now that I don't know, back then it felt less intrusive, but now, like with the days, you know, when everything is online, I mean, it's a bit like street photography, like is that somehow different now? Because, well, I don't know, maybe it's just things being, you know, this sort of, I don't know, like data protection and stuff, like I
digital dilemma
about doing stuff like that, but you can't help it. Like I always tune into things, and I love it when I'm down in Glasgow and you just sort of like, you're on the train or something and somebody's on the phone. The other day I was going through a load of recordings that I'd taken on my phone, and there was this brilliant one of a woman, I don't know, she was just like bitching to a friend about her boyfriend, and I was just like recorded it, and I was just like, this is just brilliant. Like, there's got to be a way to use this somehow. But at the same time, you're kind of like,
it's important. I think it's important to like keep your ears open to the world around you and pick up influences. Like I was reading the Andrew Weatherall tribute book about Jockey Slut, and he said, like, I don't understand people that have their iPods on, or they're in their headphone world all the time when they're out in the real world, because noises, taxi cabs, engine noise, whatever on the street, that can all feed into your subconscious, and then that might come out later on. But
totally. I think I've always been like really interested about the idea of where like sound and noise ends and where music begins, because actually what you've got to do is like, there's so much, like even in speech patterns, it's so like beautifully rhythmical, and all you've got to do is like take like a tiny bit of speech and loop it, even like a syllable, and you start looping it, and then it's suddenly sort of like beautifully rhythmical, and there's so much in just that. And I'm really interested in like where like the sliding scale is, right? Noise, sound. It's like becoming music, and whether there's actually any difference, you know, between the two. So
that reminds me of I can't remember what one it is, but there's a Steve Reich album where I think he's got, you know, some voices, and it's and it's just goes on for ages, and you become hypnotized. I love that music like that.
Like Laurie Anderson, you know, her track Superman. I've been hearing that, like and that's amazing. I was hearing someone chatting about how that was on like Top of the Pops and stuff, and how mad that must have been. And I think I love anything like that that's kind of
completely
experimental,
but it gets into the public consciousness, and those kind of I really miss Top of the Pops, you know, that kind of like, I mean, you've got now everything is on the web, but you know, obviously growing up when you had those kind of little golden nuggets of like exposure to things, they just sort of, they seem more powerful when you're experiencing them.
Pre-internet, all that stuff was so important, even like taping the charts when you were like really young, or you know, listening to John Peel. All that stuff was so much more, that was your way of discovering music, really. Unless other people were handing you down things. And I really even like Jules Holland and stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
Mention the,
And there's
the swear word. But,
yeah.
You know, like I just think even like going back to the 90s again, really honestly not stuck there, but it's so many things I saw on Jules Holland when I was kind of like 18, 19.
Yeah.
Were like, whoa.
My big, like, the program that was really like blew my head off was this thing called Snub TV that used to be on around at 6 p.m. So on BBC Two, there was, so BBC Two around sort of tea time, there was just like an hour of power of like alternative culture. So there was one period where they had Ren and Stimpy, but Snub TV was I think ran from like 86 until 1990, and it was so really, like, that was the first place that I heard my Bloody Valentine, Dinosaur Jr., bands like the and the Fall. The first time I saw the Fall was on there, and like Marky Smith going, yeah, fucking don't fucking fuck me about, you know, just like complete nutters. And then, oh yeah, do you remember Rapido with Anton de Gons?
Of course,
Yeah.
Rapido and Eurotrash.
So they were like sandwiched together. So it was just like mind bending, you know. It's like, and I really loved Anton de Gons and the way he presented it. And also, do you remember Dance Energy with Normski? Did you ever see that? Dance Energy. That was amazing. And I think the Word took that format of well, it's not an original format. It's like the format of Ready, Steady, Go. Get the band in, get the audience who are clubbers, and say, okay, you're cool, you're going to dance now, so everyone make it like a vibe. And just, yeah, that was just so exciting. When I was like 10 or 11, I would always go to my mum like, can we go to London? Can we go to London? I really want to go to London. I really want to see all of the hip hop, all of the house. And she'd be like, no, the house music is terrible. It's all drugs. And she was right. But but that sort of era of like seeing it on Top of the Pops, and then seeing like scandalization of youth cults, or, you know, like Acid House Frenzy, Kids Gone Mad. I think we were really fucking lucky to grow up in that sort of era.
Yeah, I think we were, without having I mean, I'm so glad that we didn't actually have all the documentation, constant documentation on like social media and even smartphones and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we had a freedom that we probably wouldn't have now.
Yeah, totally.
Even if we don't think we're those kind of people that would kind of present us our lives in this curated way, or just document everything. I think I would be, you know. I would be, but nice to just not have too much documented evidence of those times.
No. And also, if you think there's slower times as well, and you'd have the time to read a book, or you would have that kind of routines of tuning in to, say, like John Peel, and so you'd be hunkered down in your bedroom with the radio, like ready to go. Oh, okay, I've got that session. I remember taping Giles Peterson, like, I think because when Radio 1 was good and Giles Peterson had a show on there, and taping like Portishead, Tricky, and just, you know, all of that amazing sort of music from Bristol. Then the same way you sort of feel about Glasgow, I kind of feel the same way about Bristol, is that when one of my favourite periods of my life was living there, and like just being surrounded by amazing musicians, and every gig you go to, you'd see like, you might see like Mark Stewart from the pop group. I remember seeing Daddy G, really tall Daddy G. He lived at the end of my road, and he's in the newsagents looking at the racing form, and I'm like buying a pint of milk going, oh my God, there he is. It's like, it's mental. And in Bristol, but
Bristol had an amazing, well, it probably still does have an amazing scene.
It will do.
So much more.
Yeah, it will do again.
For me, that was the place, like more than London, actually. That was the place
more than London. Yeah.
Early 2000s that I was really drawn to. Like the music was coming out of it. And maybe it was because it was not geographically that far from Dorset.
Yeah, as well.
That it definitely felt like there was so much exciting music coming out.
Yeah. I remember going to the Fekla the first time, I think maybe with Chris Mears, I'm not sure, but being like blown away by the fact that, one, it's on a boat, two, it's like got this amazing program of music, and then that was it. I'm going to see someone from Anticon. Do you remember that record label? That was a weird hip hop label from.
Oh yeah.
Because Mears was really into them, and I was blown away.
I remember him playing me stuff.
Yeah.
Off that label.
Yeah. Quite dark stuff, and it kind of. So, thinking back to Bournemouth, I remember Chris Pedley's night at the Consortium was really a really good thing that was going on at that time. And then Mears with what was the DJ night he used to do in that tiny bar? Not Bar Tonka.
Yeah. That was called
Leisure, something Leisure.
It'll like suddenly come to me. Yeah, that was a cracking night. That was
that was great. That was good. That was great because you could find a midweek place and have a night. And there were some really amazing DJs. And what was the record shop that Chris used to work in?
Avid.
Avid. Yeah. That was what an amazing record shop. And was it Paul? I think Paul Avid. Yeah. So I remember meeting Snowboy, like a really Snowboy's fucking one of the I guess legends of like DJing in the UK, I think, because he's got such a massive wide knowledge of music. And then also Chris invited DJ. I remember Daddy G coming.
I was at that night.
Yeah, and a really experimental DJ. I can't remember his name. One of the first guys to do. All escapes me. I have to ask Pedley. But I loved Consortium. It was a great little club.
It was, and Nat was really open to putting on interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Not one of those guys that kind of, or promoters that really were. He was more in, like I always felt with Nat that he was more interested in putting on interesting stuff.
Than money makers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good musicians are born there and then realise nothing's going to happen there and then ship off.
I know, it's such a shame. It's like, it just felt like there could have been.
Yeah.
Like I remember Roman putting on nights in Mr. Smith's and what
a venue. That was amazing.
So good. Although I used to take my Fender Rhodes and when we did gigs and getting up the stairs, it was like,
that must have been.
The stairs was so steep.
Talking about backbreaking, that was you're probably going to feel that, you know, in another 10 years, and you can say that was Mr.
I'm already
Smith's.
feeling it now.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling it now. But there'd always be somebody, because I'd rock up. I think I used to manage to get it in the back of my car by myself, which was some feat. And I'd always rock up and I'd just kind of wait for some unsuspecting person. Like, can you just give me a hand, could you?
You're going to be a roadie now. I'm going to sign you up as a roadie now. You'll get a warm carling, and that you'll do some good work.
But Mr. Smith was some great stuff there.
Yeah.
Although just a tiny venue, you couldn't.
But it was a perfect little box. Like that was the great thing about it, is just a bar on the side, boom, a box, decent enough sound system, and yeah, I mean, what was Bar Tonka? What did that become? I can't remember the name of it. That was a legendary venue.
Oh, Bar Tonka was basically where I did my first gigs there, and that was amazing, because a lot of the people that went to the arts college worked there or hung out. I think Seb used to manage it.
Yeah, so Seb was managing it, and then I think Romin cut his teeth there doing stuff with him, living with him and doing stuff with him as well. But then it became I can't remember what the name of it. It closed recently, but it was one of the last sort of independent venues in Bournemouth that had a good programme, that had interesting club nights, that would occasionally have a good DJ. And apart from Chaplin's now in Boscombe, I don't think there's any. Oh, no. Tell a lie. There was the Four Horsemen, and I did a couple of nights in there. That's a really good little venue. And what used to be called Remix, which was on Holtonhurst Road, where famously where Carl Cox used to go down and play, and people like LTJ Bookham, Ratty, all these hardcore legends and drum and bass legends, is now so that place Remix is called Bomo Bunker, and they do sort of good experimental nights there. Had a predilection for having small furry animals. Stuff that's coming out at the moment.
Yeah, well, I've just finished that track that I sent you, and I'm actually trying to put together some kind of visuals to try and kind of pop it up on the old YouTube and sort of play around with that a bit, which would be cool.
Yeah.
I kind of got lots of things that are kind of ticking along in the background, and they're all kind of to do with environmental sounds. I've got this long kind of standing project. Well, it's been going on for a couple of years, and the old pandemic has down somewhat.
Scuppered.
It's all to do with water, like recordings of water.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I've kind of built some kind of sample instruments, like just all with tiny samples of water sounds.
Yeah.
So I'm working along that. It's kind of collaboration with a visual artist who's based just north of me here, called Jane Rushton, and she works a lot with the environment and just kind of works in a similar way visually to how I work with sound.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put something together, and we've been working on something for a couple of years, but it's been quite slow. So
real life is always getting in the way of the dream. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I'm really into that. That's taken a lot of grafting to kind of get the samples cut up and put into contact, do all that kind of side of things. And now I've done that, I've kind of got this canvas of sounds but I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them yet. So
Have you ever tried to go into sort of like a gallery context, or do like a sound art, or have you ever put your work out there into a sort of gallery space?
No, but that's what the intention of doing this is, to kind of make it an installation. Funnily enough, my kind of part-time day job is working in a gallery now.
Right, nice.
So I've got some interesting projects off the back of that, really. And I'm also just about to start writing something for a Zoom choir. So I don't know how to work out. So I'm gonna write a piece for them, but that's gonna incorporate lots of the environmental sound, field recording side of things as well. So that's gonna be really interesting. And that's with the intention of that being part of some kind of exhibition. An environmentally themed exhibition. So that's kind of what's really.
Just thinking about Arts by the Sea, the festival. So that looks quite good. And there was another thing called Bournemouth Beef. I don't know if it still exists, but
it's good to get a bit of funding to do something, but then it goes so much against the creative brain to have to sit and fill out forms.
It is. So that is the thing that I need to learn, is how to fill out the Arts Council. Well, if even the Arts Council even has any money left, I don't know. But that process of like making an application is just horrible. How to tick the boxes so that you can get a bit of. I've never been able to do it. Like, not that I've really. I studied fine art, but I've only sort of dabbled around it because I felt like I couldn't go down that route of like living hand to mouth, or also, and just because the way I think like networking and going to galleries and going to gallery shows and kissing bum is a nightmare. Like, I don't know how to do it. It's a bit different from music. Like, I was always able to like go up to people and go, "Hey, I love your band," or "Hey, I want you to come play a show," or whatever. And that was good. And I always felt like that was more of a much more that gave me a lot more like curating a lineup and saying, okay, this band would work with them. But then sometimes it coming down to money, and the guy that I was working for being like, are they good for 50 people? If they can't get 50 people, they're not getting 100 quid. And I was like, fuck's sake, come on, have some vision, man. And it
your paid to play days.
Yeah, almost paid to play. It would be like, okay, so if you get this amount of people, you get this much, and here's your warm out of date Carlsberg or whatever. Here's your drinks vouchers. Just get in the van, get in the venue, load in.
When the bar, like, I seem to remember it was like, if you get 50 people in, and the bar takings are over this amount, then we might think about giving you a tenner.
That is
great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much. I love playing music for nothing. Yeah. But there was a golden, I hate to rabbit on, but these 5, 6, 7, 8, the people that own the Lock Tavern and 60 Million Postcards, the deals that they did with promoters, they were so good, because they would be like, okay, you get 100 quid, whatever, and with that 100 quid, you could ask an okay sort of band. Like, at one point, I'll never live this down, but I was talking to Young Turks, and I was like, could you get the XX to play? And they was like, and this is in, I don't know, 2008. And they said, yeah, but it'll be 200 quid. And I was like, oh, that's just out my budget. It's like, fuck's sake, they should have just fucking whacked 100 on it. So many, yeah. Back in touch with a really good friend, Lucy Beale, and she's told me about lots of people from Bournemouth who are into good music, and because of A Love from Outer Space, Andrew Wetherill and Sean Johnson's night, and my friend Sammy and my friend Fab, who we used to put on nights together in London, and through the work of Sean Johnson, and I do mean it like work, for him keeping things going and putting on events, these emergency broadcast systems that he puts on every month, and the music, there's still so much like amazing club tracks being made, but obviously you can't hear them in the club context. And yeah, I hope soon that I'll be able to do an interview with him, because like his club and the clubs around it, or the festivals that supported that kind of sound, like Electric Elephant in Croatia, and Luke Unabomber with the work that he does in Manchester with his club nights, and producers like Richard Sen, the Flying Mojito Brothers, which was a group. Sean Johnson played a couple of tracks. There's just so much good psychedelic music around still, and I think, but until then, keep on emailing, send me, and I will I'll do some more blogging as well, put the new releases out there.
Yeah, thanks for that. I really appreciate you.
No, it's really nice to like to see mates that are still making music and making really interesting music as well. So yes, don't stop.
Cool.
All right, talk to you really soon.
Yeah,
and
you take care.
I'll do the chopping, and then it'll be ready in a couple of weeks, I hope.
Yeah, no worries. Just let me know if you need anything.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Kerrie. Take care. Bye bye.